Good morning! So, as I mentioned previously, I have presented at 1 Million Cups before. I presented when my business plan was still very much in idea phase. I hadn't located a building in town yet. I hadn't located any artists yet. I had this grand idea and no actual footing. It starts with a dream. I was there. And so now I am presenting 1 month after my grand opening, and so business is booming and it's been awesome. So I own and operate the Happy Art Tour, which is aka that, and it is a pop-up interactive art experience space. So what is that? It is what that means. So pop-up, short term, we close December 31st and move on to another location. So we open November 1st, close December 31st. Interactive art experience involves all of your senses. So we have an 8,000 square foot building at 401 North Balin here in downtown. It's on the corner of Balin and Belmont, so part of the Revitalizing Pensacola movement. We took over a building that's been empty for 2 years and popped up and filled it with art created by local artists in the community. I really wanted to create a space that involved the community as much as possible and utilized the awesome art scene that we have here. So it's about an hour-long experience that takes you through these different full sensory immersion rooms. And our hashtags, laugh colorfully, spread happiness, and live vibrantly. So my business model is built on the foundation of spreading happiness. And my goal is that you come in and play for an hour, and whether you're 2 or 92, male, female, regardless of anything else going on in your life, you can come in and you may not like everything, but you can find one thing that will make you smile and make you happy. And the hope is that you then take that imagination and creativity out into the rest of your world and the rest of your day and spread it along, pass it forward. So the idea is based on a business model that's happening in much larger cities right now. So New York, San Francisco, LA, there's the Museum of Ice Cream, Happy Place, Dream Machine, Color Factory, list goes on. But I wanted to scale it down and bring it to Pensacola, where we have a smaller population, but again, a huge thriving art scene. And it's the idea that as millennials, we walk into a museum and within the first 10 minutes, we're on our phones, whether we're taking a picture of really famous art and posting inappropriate captions with it, or we're completely disengaged and are playing a game. The idea is that this involves all of your senses to make it impactful and help you connect in whatever way you best connect and appreciate art. So it engages you in as many ways as possible to also provide a more memorable experience. Rather than just looking at art hanging on a wall, you really get to dive into it and play with it. And it's social media friendly. So the goal going forward, so now that we're open, the goal going forward is to bring it on to the next city, the next location, and spread happiness nation and then worldwide. And what that looks like for us is a revamp of our social media branding, taking some of the few people I've found as a core team here and going forward and rebranding our social media, revamping some of our installations. The next location will incorporate local artists from that city and really going forward and spreading more happiness. So my team members are kind of helping me fill in the gaps from the standpoint of small business. There are a lot of those job descriptions are very broad so that they can fill in where needed. And the business model is one that you need to be able to go with the flow, because when you're looking at the next city, that's a very broad focus, but then it narrows down as you open in that city. Your focus has to be directly on what's happening in the space, and then it opens up again and you get to use more of your creative brain. And so you need people who can ebb and flow with the business as it's ebbing and flowing when it's open, and then as it's ebbing and flowing on the larger scale as well. And thankfully I've been able to find some really great people who can help me in that endeavor. Where else? Oh yeah. So an example of some of the ways that we've grown and changed going through the experience we've set up for holidays. We have private special events. We have public special event days. So tonight is our Ugly Sweater Christmas party. Saturday is our Harry Potter event. So we saw that Vinyl does their annual Yule Ball that does really, really well. And we went to them and said, how can we join you? Like, you're an awesome one-night event. We're a pop-up, we're a 2-month event, but how can we get on board and join you and help you and bring more interaction to your experience and make it more memorable for the people who go to your event every year, while simultaneously creating an event of our own that we can share the marketing target market with, kind of thing. And so they said, great, we'd love to. And so Saturday we have our Happy Hogwarts holiday that coincides with Vinyl Music Hall's Yule Ball. We're super excited about that. We have That After Dark event coming up right before Christmas, where if you're 21 and up, you can bring your own booze. Sorry. What other events do we have? I know we tried to have Bike Pensacola do one of their slow rides, but that got rained out. Yeah, there are a few, so special events, that kind of thing, and we can adjust to meet that need. So Christmas parties, but first, let me take a selfie. Let me take an Elfie. Yeah. I'm super nerdy, so for me it's fun. So yeah, as I was mentioning before, the Beyond This City part, we have a list of cities that we're looking to go to next. I haven't narrowed down in my mind, but we're not ready to share that yet. Part of the surprise. And it's really about taking the momentum that we've built here and bringing it with us into the next city. And Pensacola is small, and the city that we're going to next is a little bit larger. And so trying to find that balance of, okay, so people in the next city still haven't heard of us. And so how do you take the momentum that you have here in Pensacola and bring it with you into the next location and get people just as excited about the next location as they were about Pensacola, when most of the Pensacolians aren't going to go to the next location, and most of the people in our next location haven't heard of Pensacola or been to Pensacola. So finding that balance, and again, I think it's about finding the right team, and I'm really excited for the team that I have found. And the contributing artists get to help with that as well. Their network that I automatically get to tap into because they helped and got really excited about the project. And spreading happiness for them includes helping other artists, and regardless of where they're located, kind of thing. So this is our plan for 2019. So we'll close at the beginning of January, we'll close out, and then the hope is to open one in March, June, and October. And October's goal is Canada. We'll see how that actually works. I haven't done business internationally before, so we're starting that timeline now. Like, hey, what does it look like for visas and things like that? What does doing business internationally look like, especially when it's on a shorter term scale? How do you pop up in a location kind of thing internationally, and what does it look like for shipping some of our installations that are not as convenient as possible? Or does that mean when we get to Canada, we're starting completely from scratch and rebuilding with artists in that city? And Canada is really the test stone, because eventually the goal is to get overseas. And so Canada's the close start. Our social media, has been awesome. We've, again, as a millennial, connecting to other millennials through social media. The whole business model is that everything in the experience is social media friendly and social media worthy. And so it's been super awesome getting to personally dive into the realm of digital marketing in a way that I hadn't before. And we're super excited for the rebranding that's going to come with the next location. And that's about all I have. Thank you. Questions?
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
Do you hire actors and actresses?
Absolutely.
Okay. do you get releases in film, the various events as they happen, so that you can actually post things on them?
Yeah, so everyone who buys a ticket signs or agrees to a liability waiver that says that any photos taken in the space by us can be used in our promotional marketing, and that any photos you post and tag us in, we then have permission to repost. Yes, ma'am.
So how are you funded?
Great question. I put everything I have into it, and then I found an angel investor for this first location who is in Pensacola, loves Pensacola, and thought that this was a great contribution to Pensacola.
Okay, I have another.
Yes, ma'am.
Have you considered becoming a nonprofit?
Yes, so that's a great question, and the goal is to eventually have aspects that, like, to have a branch off that is more nonprofit sector. For now, it was a lot more time, effort, and money to go the nonprofit route, and based on the business model that's happening in other cities, the for-profit sector starting gives you the opportunity to reach into the nonprofit sector and give back in that way while still being able to write yourself a check every day.
I agree, and I asked because I've had people tell me I need to do nonprofit work.
Yeah.
I'm doing because it's easier to get funding, but it's not easy to become a nonprofit.
Right.
So it's like, I know what
Well, and I think that assumption is made very quickly when people hear the word art, that, oh, so it's the non-for-profit sector. You're like a museum or a gallery, and no, I'm not actually. It's much more like the county fair comes into town for a month. We're here for 2 months instead of 1 month, but it's much more along that lines. In fact, my insurance agent had to reword what I'm qualified as, because initially they wanted to call me a haunted house. And I'm like, no, not quite. Ooh, excuse me, yes.
So your plan for other cities, are you looking to actually move yourself, your team, or whoever, like say move to New Orleans for 2 months at a time? And then my biggest question is, can you tag into, like Mobile has, I don't remember what it's called, the Exploria or whatever, like they always have like an interactive kind of tour in there. New Orleans has festivals all the time, Atlanta has like the music festival as well. So what does that look like in terms of like, what do you need to move and do those things?
Yeah, for sure. So the idea, to answer the first part of your question, yes. My goal when creating the business plan and writing the model and what that was going to look like going forward was to provide the opportunity for me to travel. So yes, my goal is to go along with it to each city every few months, and even if we're only open for 2, that's really closer to 6 months in a location, as you're there ahead of time getting everything ready, then there at the end closing things down, and then moving on to the next city kind of thing. So from that standpoint, yes, I think myself and my core team will need to be pretty transient and open to, okay, well, you can work remotely to some extent, but before we open in a location, certainly you need to be on the ground full force kind of thing. And so to follow that up, yes and no. From the music festival standpoint, there are aspects that, so I'm actually in the process of looking into kind of being an event vendor, where we'll pop up a space. So like if you're Delta and you're hosting a 500-person event at X hotel, we'll pop up in a section, we'll pop up one of our rooms in a section of your ballroom as an experience for your guests to come through. So Delta is paying me to pop up for all of their people to come through the experience in just a 1 room, 1 day kind of situation. Right now we're in the process of figuring out the logistics of that, because some of our installations require a longer setup time than like an hour before an event, which lots of event spaces only give you about an hour to set up. So finding those, fine-tuning that and working out those kinks, but that's kind of one of the directions that we're looking into as a side between, between open locations, between physical locations, yeah. Yes, sir.
To clarify, just shutting down at the end of January here and not continuing in Pensacola, or are you moving to a different location?
So, no, sir, we are Pensacola and moving on to a new city. Yes.
Do you have any demographics showing how far folks are coming in to the city?
So we know how far our social media campaigns are reaching, if that makes sense. We have set specific targets and know like, okay, here are our specific demographics that we're reaching for in our specific target market, our age ranges, our locations, things like that. Right now we have about a 50-mile radius that our ads are reaching. And so from there we've had people come in from Destin, we've had people come in from Mobile, that kind of thing. So we are reaching the market that we expected to be reaching.
Are you tracking that though?
I'm sorry?
Do you have data on that? Are you tracking that?
So we have our Instagram and Facebook insights. So yes, we know where our ads are reaching. From a tracking customer information, not specifically. So I use ShowClicks to sell my tickets, and they keep track of like billing addresses. But so that helps. But again, you have to be, you can't write that in stone.
When you look at funders or investors or even like Visit Pensacola grants, they're not
Yeah, for sure.
information of where they're pulling from. So keep
Yeah, for sure. We definitely have been, yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Since you are hiring actors and actresses and creating videos that could potentially be used to promote tourism, have you looked into the state incentives for people in that business?
So we have the hurdle to jump through with that is the short time frame and the fact that our next location will not be in Florida. And so trying to like Visit Pensacola, we applied for one of their grants, but they didn't really want to support us because we're only here for 2 months. And while yes, we're supporting tourism in the off season, it's only for the next 2 months. It's not a year-long commitment. And so finding that balance has been definitely one of the hurdles when it came to finding funding. Yes, sir.
I saw on your timeline, open, open, open. I didn't see close. Are you opening multiple locations?
So I can't go back. So the plan is that not officially, no. We'll close here, open up in our next location March, stay open through May, close, open the next location in July. Some of that is open-ended because we may extend in a certain location. For example, we're considering staying open through January because we've been doing so well. And what that looks like. So we wanted to make sure that we didn't necessarily close ourselves off to, like, yes, leave them while it's hot kind of thing, but also not closing ourselves off to the potential of staying a little bit longer in a location.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
So I have a question. I
Yeah.
went through it and it was awesome.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Really good. Go question. Sorry.
Yes.
So some of the exhibits obviously are more structural than others. I'm thinking about the last room, which is like the lightning bug room.
Yes,
Is
sir.
that thing going to disappear after, or is it something that you don't play so we can move it?
Yeah, so some of the, that's kind of a twofold question, and the answer is yes and no. So some of the installations were specifically built to be easy tear down, easy pop up, so that we can bring them with us to the next location. Local artist Rafi Perez created an incredible dream forest with 5 different sculptures that tell a message of how to find happiness in your life and maintain the happy state of mind. And so those creatures will definitely come with us to the next location, where the way in which they are presented may change. And same for the Firefly Room. That installation will definitely come with us to the next location. We love it. It's been a fan favorite. Like, it's fantastic. But things like our dragon, which is super cool for Pensacola. It's a 53-foot handmade, hand-sewn dragon that lights up, breathes smoke, and that kind of thing, and is entirely stuffed with donatable, recyclable materials. She's beautiful. We love her. She's wonderful, but she will disappear after this installation, and we may revamp her and grow how we incorporate a dragon in the next installation, but it won't be this dragon specifically. Yes, sir.
Tickets strictly online, or can you also do walk-up?
You can come in through the doors and we can book a ticket, but it is all online and it's card only, so we do that processing on a tablet when you get there.
What's the ticket price?
$10. Yes, sir.
Have you considered, I'll just pretend you are you appear to be, the driving force and the director.
Yes, sir.
Instead of moving from city to city, why don't you keep your team here and replicate a team in the next city and replicate a team in the next city so you have an ongoing business?
As a millennial, it's not sustainable. I don't want to be invested in a single storefront location. I think the pop-up model is kind of the way of the future, and that whole boutique mentality of you have to find your niche, and part of the reality of millennials is their short attention span. And so my goal is to hit as many of my target market as possible in one location, and then right as they're about to be like over it and done with, move on to the next location. I think interactive experiences like escape rooms are awesome, but I also think you're starting to see the side effects of opening a permanent location. Yes, sir?
The value, in my opinion, is the scarcity adds value to the experience, because like, I knew I had to go do it when I had that window, and once I did it, I was like, oh my God, thank God I did not do it when I had that window. And it's gonna be gone, you'll never get to see it again in that point.
Right?
So, once that gets filtered through to your other cities, that value is gonna have to go to it.
Okay, last question.
Yes, sir?
How did you find your core team, people you knew that you reached out to?
No, so actually everyone on my team has come on kind of sporadically and differently. So my staff are color ambassadors, and I put out a call for actors and actresses. I put out a job posting on Facebook and Indeed, and everyone kind of came together. I went to UWF for interns for my social media marketing, my digital graphic design, and really the team of people who are staying and going forward with me have come from all of those different areas and realms, and it's been awesome to acknowledge that Pensacola has such a diverse community and that they got as excited about the project as I am. So,
How do you get tickets?
thehappyarttour.com.
Happy Hour Tour.
Yep.
Let's give her a big hand.
Thank you.